Good afternoon, members, and welcome to this meeting of the Sanquhar Common Good Fund Subcommittee. The first item on the agenda is the appointment of chair. Could I please ask for nominations for chair, please?
Go for it, Jim.
I'll second that.
Councillor Dempster, are you happy to accept the chair?
Yes, indeed, Fiona. Aye.
I'll pass the meeting over to you then, Councillor Dempster.
Thank you very much, Fiona, and thank you very much, members. Good afternoon, everyone. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The recording will be made available on the council website for public listening. Could all participants please follow the good practice guidance, which includes muting microphones and switching off your video when you're not addressing the meeting, writing speak in the Teams chat function when you want to contribute. Please do not repeat contributions already made by other members. No material should be posted in the chat function if it's intended as part of the discussion. The usual standing orders apply, including that any votes will be undertaken by roll call. If any member has to leave the meeting, please advise the chair so that we can keep track while the meeting is quorate. All members should speak clearly and directly into the microphone when making contributions, and when referring to reports, please provide reference to the relevant page and paragraph to allow everyone to follow. Please focus contributions on areas where clarification is required or to propose an alternative to a recommendation. Thank you, folks. We now move on to item 2 on the agenda, and I will ask Fiona Daubney for the settlement and apologies, please. Fiona?
Yep, we're all present and correct, Councillor Dempster, no apologies, and I'd like to welcome our community rep, Ronnie Johnson from Sanquhar Community Council.
Thank you, Fiona, and I'm sure all members of the subcommittee would echo these your comments and welcome, Ronnie. Okay, members, do you have any declarations of interest?
No.
If there are no declarations of interest, we move on to agenda item 4. This is the Sanquhar Common Good Fund final outturn 2021-22 and financial plan 2022-23, report by Head of Community Services. And Fiona, I would appreciate it if you would take us through this report, please.
Yep, I have nothing further to add to the report, Chair. I think it's quite self-explanatory in the appendix, but I do want to draw your attention to the decision that Sanquhar Community Council took on the 27th of February 2022. You may recall, following the last Common Good Fund Subcommittee meeting, that I had to consult with them on draft criteria to open up the grant scheme. You'll see in paragraph 3.5 that the Community Council would like to keep the grant scheme closed at the minute, to allow some funds to build up. So it was just to draw your attention to that.
Thanks, Fiona. And I take it if members here have no wish to change that format, that it will only be at the request of Sanquhar Community Council or a proposal by other members of the subcommittee that the application process will be opened. So this will remain as is, unless there's a request either from elected members or Sanquhar Community Council to change the decision that's already made. Is that right?
Yes, and it can be opened at any time, given that as long as we agree the decision here.
Okay. I have only one question, Fiona, and it may be that it appears in the upcoming financial report for 2023-24. However, I do believe it should be in this one, is that when you see income on the opening balance on page 3, the top section, there is no reference to the fairground being back in Sanquhar, which is very much welcomed. The fact that they're there is very much part of the Riding in the March celebration. But the income realised from the fairground is usually paid into the Sanquhar Common Good Fund, and it doesn't appear there. So I would appreciate it if you would look at that or ask that question on behalf of members, and a simple email an explanation to all members, including Ronnie, who's the representative of Sanquhar Community Council, would be appreciated. So I know you won't be able to advise that today, but if you could find that out, that would be much appreciated.
Yes, I'll check that out with colleagues in property and finance and come back to you.
Thank you. So, members, including Ronnie, does anyone have any questions on the financial position of the Sanquhar Common Good?
No.
Tony, you have one?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. It's just because, as you know, I'm fresh to this. On page 3, when you're looking at the actual return and you see the first figures at the very top, opening cash balance, what does that refer to? Because, I can see the total income is okay. That's easily understandable. And it says current closing cash balance. So is this cash balance something else which we've got in reserve, or, what does it refer to?
It refers to all of the cash we have, because and I'll ask Fiona to clarify this, and if my explanation isn't any good and Fiona's isn't, we'll get back to finance and add that to the questions that have been asked. But my understanding is it's a combination of, I think it was £30,000 at one time in cash with the council and the remainder in cash balances. It does not include the property assets and property value. I think they're featured different in a different place in the budget. And if that's not detailed enough, we'll ask Fiona to go away and get a one-off, more detailed explanation, which might be useful to you, Tony, because the investment will be with maybe a number of different organisations or a provider. And I think the council have an investment portfolio, and I believe that ours features as part of the overall investment portfolio that the council holds. But maybe if you could add a wee bit to that, Fiona, and then I see Tony's wanting a further question.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Jim, but I can ask finance if they can detail that in more detail.
That would be super. And I'm sure a one-off would help Sanquhar Community Council as well, just outline exactly where our money sits, because there is a further and it's not for today, Tony, but I know that some of the cash held is for a specific purpose, for example, maintenance of ground at Lorimer Park, etc. So that information might be useful for you as well. But you did have a question.
Yeah, no, I think it would be, given that this is the first time, and at least that way I've got it and I can take it forward, so that if at a future stage where we have a common goods, I already have that background information, and I'm not scrabbling around in the dark trying to figure out what it is. But no, thanks very much, Chair.
Great. Andrew, do you have anything to add? It seems not. Ronnie, do you have anything? No? Okay. Okay, in that case, the recommendations are: we are asked to note the fund's income and expenditure in 2021-22 as detailed in paragraph 3.2. Agree the financial plan as set out in the appendix within the papers, and agree with the Royal Borough of Sanquhar and District Community Council to suspend opening up for grants and continue with the microgrant scheme as detailed in paragraph 3.5. Members happy to note and agree as appropriate?
Noted, agreed.
Thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Ronnie. Okay, we move on to the last agenda item. We are asked to note the microgrants awarded by the Royal Borough of Sanquhar and District Community Council detailed in the appendix, and agree to the continuation of the annual allocation of £2,000 to the Royal Borough of Sanquhar and District Community Council to disperse through their microgrant scheme. I know that all members have had the opportunity to scrutinise this appendix. I'm content with it. I'm happy to take questions for other members, if there are any, about the microgrants or the microgrant scheme in general. And if not, we'll go to the recommendations, members, which asks us to note the microgrants awarded, and agree the continuation of the annual allocation of £2,000 to the Royal Borough of Sanquhar and District Community Council to disperse the microgrant scheme. Members happy with that?
Yeah, happy, Chair.
Agree.
Thank you very much, members. In that case, members, thank you and thanks, Ronnie, for your attendance. Although very brief, it's very constructive. It helps us move forward, and we'll look forward to a future meeting, a date and time to be arranged by Fiona in conjunction with myself. Thanks very much, and thanks very much. Oh, and I think we did say that as part of the agenda for the next meeting, we would ask that a property portfolio is brought forward for our consideration, and so that members both of Sanquhar Community Council and members of the Common Good Committee know exactly what property and assets are in our ownership and that we are responsible for on behalf of Dumfries and Galloway Council. Okay, thank you very much, Fiona. Thanks, members, and thanks for the member of staff with us today. Thank you. That concludes the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks.